Hey everyone, welcome to the 3GIQ podcast. I'm here with my co-host Frank Gao, and we got a really good friend of mine, Sam Lorino, aka Rhino. So Sam Lorino, he was a Marine Corps infantryman, 0311. And he was security forces, went to the fleet, spent time on the ranges, and then the shooting team discovered him and was brought out to the Marine Corps shooting team to be part of our instructor slash competitor cadre. Did some really amazing things while he was with us. Always an upbeat guy, always like ready to go, always wanting to just go out and make things better. We kind of live by the phrase, return things better than what you found them. And this was the go-to guy for that. He's become a really good friend, some guy I could just bounce ideas off at times. And I'm really excited to have him on here. So, Sam, if you could just kind of, talk about yourself a little bit, tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me on, Matt and Frank. Yeah, I'm from New York originally. Grew up competitive shooting a bit. I was fortunate my dad could afford those things, and but I grew up in New York, so I grew up doing cowboy action shooting. So I used to dress up like a cowboy. I shoot two 6 guns, a lever action, and a shotgun, and that's kind of where I found my love for firearms. And then growing up in New York, you watch September 11th happen, and you watch all these U.S. service members go to war for various reasons, whatever they were. And I just wanted to kind of join that fight, I guess, as lame as that sounds, typical American thing. But I wanted to serve my country, and I ended up joining the Marine Corps in 2013, and did a few fake deployments, and then ended up on the shooting team. And it was like one of the best experiences ever. I met some of my best friends ever. In my 9 years of service. And now that I'm out, I definitely miss all those people. So it's great talking with you guys tonight. I appreciate it.
Before we get started, you said you did cowboy action growing up doing that. How did you get into cowboy action? And you were the New York State champion for cowboy action, right?
Yeah, so it was my specific category, which was young gun. But yeah, I was the New York State young gun champion. I think I don't remember when that was, 2008 or something like that. But it's like a category within USPSA. I'm not very good at shooting. I just
Bullshit.
Yeah, but to answer your question about how I got into it, my neighbor did it. He was one of my dad's best friends growing up, and conversely, he became one of my best friends, Ed. And yeah, he got me and my whole family involved in it.
Nice.
Yeah, that stuff looks really cool. What was your cowboy name?
Lonesome Sam.
Lonesome Sam. Okay, it's also
email.
It's also your email.
Yeah,
that all makes sense. Okay, so you're on the Marine Corps shooting team. You know your ES is coming up. Can you detail the process of either Sig reaching out to you, you reached out to Sig, and eventually landing that job?
Yeah, man. So I think it was 2017 that the Academy came out and taught a master pistol and rifle instructor course. And
18.
Was it 2018?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's when you and I got to the team.
You're exactly right, man. Sorry. Yeah, so I was a summer shooter in 2018. You're right. And yeah, that was my first exposure to them, and I was kind of blown away with the instruction. Like, you don't as a shooter and a gun guy, you're like, I don't know if I agree with that, but I was just blown away with their delivery of the instruction. I had never seen instructors like that before coming from the military, and yeah, so that was my first exposure. Second exposure, they came out again. I don't remember. When was the second time they came out, Matt?
The second time they came out was 2021.
Okay.
No,
and that was
2020. They came out in 2020.
Okay. And I wasn't in that course, but I got exposure to it. Yep. I saw them teach again. And prior to that, we had gone out, me, Scott, and Major Driscoll, excuse me, I'd gone out and taken a course up in New Hampshire, and Eric Palmer was one of the instructors. Again, blown away by the instruction, him and Colin Murphy. And then when they came out again to teach the Marine Corps, he was out there. Being a Marine, they always usually send Marines to teach Marines. So, and again, I was blown away. So I reached out to him randomly. I was like, hey man, this didn't work out for me in the Marine Corps because I was trying to lat move and stuff. And I was like, are you guys hiring? And he said, yes. And that's kind of how I got my tryout started, at least the conversation about it.
I still regret not going to that course. I did the nice staff NCO thing. I'm a leader on this team. I don't go to courses. I'm going to ensure that my Marines go to this course. And, it's still, I don't want to say it's a regret, but it's something I wish I did take the opportunity to go to, because like I coordinated a couple guys from the Federal Air Marshals to go, and that took a couple spots up. And I was like, whenever one of our staff NCOICs was on the team, he was like, hey, do you want to go? I was like, no, I want the Marines to go. I am a staff NCOIC, they need to go. And then that person and that one staff NCOIC ended up going instead. And I was just like, fuck, I wish I took that opportunity. But no, I'm glad to see you there.
So thanks. I got a quick follow-up, Sam. I took a class at SIG in February of this year. It was the rifle instructor class, and the polished delivery also stood out to me. So now knowing that they came down and they taught you guys in 2018, did you guys kind of use that as an inspiration for the way you delivered some of your instruction for the MIC-MICs?
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, there is. And first and foremost, it's, this isn't keys to the castle or anything. I think the British Royal Marines have been doing this in their boot camp. They do EDIP, which is explain, demonstrate, imitate, practice, right? Yep. And that's exactly what the Sig Academy does. Mainly what I was blown away with was, you get a bunch of instructors out there that teach a bunch of things, but they don't demonstrate it, right? So I think that's one thing that stood out to us. And I was like, wow, these guys can talk the talk and walk the walk. So, I mean, that's first and foremost, I think we should be able to do as a firearms instructor. So.
No, absolutely. We had a conversation with Mike Snown on one of our episodes, The Dark Side of Entertainment, Part 1. And straight up, he said, if you're a firearms instructor and you are not demonstrating what you are teaching, then you are failing your students. Like, you have to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk and demonstrate and practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
So, one of the biggest things that we look at on the shooting team, and drawing new instructors and team members in, is we look at a lot of the character traits. Now, would you say it's much of the same there at Sig Sauer Academy? And what specific character traits are you looking for at Sig Sauer Academy?
So I kind of love this topic because I'm going to bash the Marine Corps a little bit here. But so like on the shooting team, we have an awesome process, as I'm sure you've talked about on this podcast probably, with the summer team, where we get to vet the people that are coming on, and we kind of, we get to pick them as a team. But the priorities are different with the academy, right? First and foremost, I think the priorities on the shooting team at first when I got there were, you need to be able to shoot, right? And that kind of makes sense. I mean, it's in the job description, but I think with the SIG Academy, it's you need to be able to get in front of people and speak intelligently on a topic, which just happens to be firearms instruction. But I think where the similarities lie is you got to be a good dude. You know what I mean? That's
team player.
You got to be a team player, and you know you got to be. There's a bunch of underlying traits there, and you could rattle off JJ did side buckle or whatever the hell, you know, or something like that. But I think being a good dude is encompassed in those things, right? And that means being humble, being willing to learn, being willing to maybe take some criticism, being willing to dish it out as well, you know, because that's how we get better. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that because you gotta, you know, when you're in such a tight knit team, and so I draw a lot of comparisons, like from, you know, being an infantryman, like as an infantryman, like you're just forced into a unit almost, and it doesn't matter whether you not you get along with the guys, you better get along, or it's your survival. Whereas like you look at how soft guys operate, like those dudes want to be there. They're the best at what they do, and they become family almost. And they operate so cohesively, which is much how the Marine Corps shooting team is. Like we're not big Marine Corps. We don't operate like we're a line unit or any other MOS. We operate as a family, make decisions as a family, and we do the best we can do with what we have, and we're very successful at it, in my opinion. And I think it's much of the same with what you're describing with how you guys operate there.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I answer your question, Frank?
You,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the same topic, how do you think being on the Marine Corps shooting team helped with the transition to civilian firearms instruction? Would it have been possible to transition to teaching at Sig Sauer Academy straight from the fleet?
I'll tell you, I don't think I had the experience to be able to do that. I was fortunate enough where I was like, you know, getting out in 2018, and I was kind of thrust into. I had some of the best leaders I've ever had in the Marine Corps before I got to the shooting team, and they thankfully saw some potential in me and gave me some opportunities to teach quite a bit in a head CMT role in a marksmanship schoolhouse. So and I was already very passionate about the topic, so that helped too. But I think I don't know. I don't think that I would have been as successful just because, just like anything else, how you get good at shooting a shooting competition is you shoot a bunch of them, and maybe you see what you need to get better at and you practice those things. So you have to be kind of passionate about the process in itself and how do I get better. But I don't, you know, I don't want to say no, but I want to say that the shooting team helped me set me up for success where I am now.
Hey, you said something that kind of made me think of something else. Like you had good mentors, and I know one of your mentors was Gunnar Lucero.
Mhm.
We just actually mentioned him the other day whenever we were recording, but
Really?
he's over at Marsoc. He's our gunner over there.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, load 'em up.
yeah. He's a solid dude. I every time I ever met him, whenever he came to Quantico, I love that guy. Like he's just really high energy, and like he's there to do work.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the guy. He gave me my first kind of chance to perform after
Hmm.
I came from a kind of a low place in the Marine Corps. And but it wasn't just him. It was the leadership at the marksmanship training. Do you remember Gunnery Sergeant? God, he's gonna kill me if you watch this. Watch this.
Gallagher.
Not Gallagher. It'll come to
I
me.
I never
It was,
went over there to 29 Palms, so yeah.
oh,
I
Gunner, you met Gunner Skinta.
yes, yes.
So,
He's awesome.
you know, strong personality, but that
Yes.
dude gave me, so he gave me tons of chances to do and perform.
Hmm.
And I guess I came through because, yeah, he kept giving me chances. So I really appreciate his mentorship. Um, I freaking love that guy. So
Hell yeah. So you're in a very different place now, and we develop the Marine Corps shooting team develops its instructors a very specific way, but now like you're, half the time they're competing, the other half of the time they're instructing. And, you know, unless you're really passionate about instructing, and it's almost broken down into teams, like each team on the shooting team, like they're doing their own program. It's not like the entire team coming together and doing murder boards and stuff like that and really developing each team as a whole. But now that you're at a place where all you're doing is instructing people, how does SIG develop its instructor cadre? And what are some of the facets that develop that development that you think the Marine Corps could adapt as an institutional at the institutional level?
So I'll give you this. One of the things that blew me away is, and why I wanted to work for this specific part of SIG, is the people, right? They all care a great deal. They're super passionate about what they do, right? And I think our current director used to be in our shoes, so he used to be an instructor at the academy, and so he knows exactly what we're going through, what we're doing day to day. And then to answer your question, we get a training week a month to train skills, right? And that could include shooting on the range. It could include developing new classes. It could include making those current progressions better, right? And I love being a part of that because that's the only way you're going to get better in this kind of industry where everyone thinks that they're the best at shooting. So, it's just really cool to be a part of that and have fellow people that are just as passionate as I am about the process of getting better at pew-pewing.
No, I just remember like whenever you were the coach of the pistol team, you just sitting in front of the computer for like hours on end, like developing POIs and stuff. And like you were one of the only guys I ever saw just really taking the time to develop the POIs and like really actively making that change. Like you took it seriously. Like what we did in competition, you made an active change to say, hey, this is how we can make this POI this much better. And that was really cool to see. And, you took that same work ethic over there, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude. And I got that from my former coach on the shooting team. I'm not going to name his name because he'd probably shoot me. But no, it's one of my best friends. Again, not going to name his name. But his work ethic is what drove mine, right? I already was passionate about getting better at shooting, even though, because I have to practice a lot because I'm not good, right? But his work ethic, developing the rifle POI at the time, or the action POI, whatever it was, kind of drove. And I used, his format to make that better. And I think that's what I've done at SIG so far. And I think I'm not going to ruin one of your questions, but I think one of your questions, maybe you're going to ask me if we have anything coming at SIG, and
we can go into it. Like, yeah. All right. Okay. So what stands out to me is that you guys as instructors, out of a month, 3 weeks, you're out there instructing, but 1 week it's meant to like improve the quality of the instructor and the product itself. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's something the Marine Corps could learn? Like, do you think that's something the Marine Corps as an institution does? It probably does. It does at the shooting team level, but not big Marine Corps. And do you think that'd be helpful?
Yeah, or you think there's too much turnover?
I think so that's the issue, I think, right? Is the constant jostling of bodies in the needs of the institution. Whereas we don't really have that in SIG. So, they just have different challenges than we have.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a pretty plain answer and boring one.
No,
it's a truth answer.
It's an age-old answer that I'm just giving you again.
Yeah, it's all good. We've already ragged on the Marine Corps a little bit, but now that you're out, what are some things that you miss?
I miss the people, man. And then I miss Being around like-minded individuals, I guess, even though I have that. And I think that's why my transition out of the military has been so smooth, because I'm around the same like-minded people that all have similar backgrounds to me. Some of them don't, but they're just, they share similar interests. So, but I miss specifically the shooting team because we got all the ammo in the world to shoot, at least when I was there.
While we were there.
Yeah, right.
Things have changed, I think.
Yeah, budget cuts and stuff. Right.
All right, so can you talk about some of the current projects developing a competition shooting curriculum for SIG, and where do you want that program to eventually end up?
So I can talk a little bit about it. I will say that Sig Sauer as a company, and then the Sig Academy, that's one of our main focuses is the competition community. And that's probably one of the reasons I got hired, because I have a little experience in that realm. And that's why Scott Rader got hired as well. But things are coming, and look for them on the website in January.
Okay.
This upcoming year.
Hell yeah.
So when I was up
The
there,
company answer I had to give.
it's all good. We know you can't tell us everything. But in terms of things already there, when I was up there, I think I went inside that pro shop every single day and I bought everything every single day. But now there's a brand new experience center with like an indoor range and all these other gizmos and gadgets. Tell us about that building.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly the amount of money they spent on this place, but it's legit, dude. It's the Sig Sauer Experience Center, so that's what replaced the pro shop, and it's a flagship store range, and they have offices and a club there as well, an exclusive club that you could buy into. But it's legit, dude. It's awesome. We have 3 indoor ranges within the facility that are all 25 yards. And maybe Sig is gonna, I don't think this is a quote, but you could shoot anywhere from 22 up to 50 cal, I believe, in there. So it's pretty legit. One of the ranges is usually reserved until we get extremely busy, I'm assuming, for us to run classes in within the winter. And the other 2 ranges are open to the public. And yeah, it's just an awesome facility. I'm not just saying that because I'm a SIG employee. I legit think it is. When you walk in there, it kind of feels like a Sig Sauer experience, if you will. They have even a museum section as well, and nice. It shows the lineage of Sig, some of the history, where it came from, and even some of the current weapon systems that we're coming out with for the military. So it's super exciting to be a part of this type of growth within the company too. To give you some context behind that, the academy itself had like 9 instructors a couple years ago. And now we're almost up, I think, mid-30s or something like that. So
wow,
yeah, that's just the instructor cadre,
And how many instructors do you foresee them hiring? Like, do you see it continue to grow? Or do you think it's gonna like at some point level out and kind of, because like you guys teach a lot of curriculums.
We do.
And you're constantly developing new curriculums. Like, as you stated before, like you're doing a competition shooting type curriculum soon here. Like, is it going to get to be a pretty decent sized cadre?
Yeah, I think so, man. It already is way bigger than it was. And as SIG continues to gain more traction within the community, whether that be more contracts that they acquire, they're already getting huge. We're looking at opening new locations across the country, and I think the demand will probably increase because of that.
So since you do have that competition shooting background, are you still competing, and what are some of the goals as an individual competitor that you have? And then what are some upcoming matches that you do plan on shooting?
Yeah, man. So still a master within production and carry optics. Maybe I should care more about my classification, but I don't. And no, but I just sent my manager a list of matches I would like to attend, and those include level 3 and level 2 matches within USPSA, as well as I'd love to attend what is it, PSCL or PCSL?
PCSL.
PCSL. Yeah.
PCSL match, yeah, dude. Because I freaking love shooting carbine and pistol. So and I love hit factor. So I really want to compete in one of those matches. But my main focus is USPSA. And then as far as a goal, I care about match performance over flashy titles and things. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the things I've always kind of excelled at. Sound like I'm talking up myself here, but I tend to run around better than most people and shoot a little sooner. That's kind of going to be the focus of always trying to shoot sooner, I guess. It's a simple goal. I'm a very simple-minded person. I'm not very philosophical or anything. You know.
Are you going to try and go at the 3-man 3-gun this year?
Dude, I would love to. I would love to. Maybe me and Scott will make it down. Maybe we'll shoot with you, bro. You already got a team?
I think so, but if that doesn't work out, then I think we can have our own team. Yeah.
All right. Let us know, dude. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'll send a message tonight to see what's going on with that. If that doesn't really pan out, then like straight up I'll just switch the names over to our names, and we'll like be like old USMC shooting team or some bullshit like fucking flashy name or something like that.
I love it. We should do it, dude.
The old timers.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So I know you're from New York and you're already used to the cold. But with the New England winter rolling in, are you doing any classes outside? And are you ready for like the single digit temperatures?
Yeah, I think we've already hit the temps in some but honestly, it's been pretty mild so far. It just started getting cold. But yeah, we run cold weather specific courses. And then we constantly have an influx of outside entities coming to train. You know, we don't always have the indoor range space available to put those people on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we absolutely are training outside. And that's another thing I love about the academy. It's not like, oh, it's cold, we're shutting down. It's just the nature of the beast where we are. But
yeah, absolutely. I do have one last question for you, and this wasn't on the questions list, but my first impression of you. So I met you at Marine Corps Championships in 2021. You shot very well, but around that time is the same time I met like Trevor Evan, Josh Cardenas, and they made it seem like you were absolute terrorist when you like taught them as summer shooters. Like Trevor was like, Rhino scares me, man. Like Rhino scares the shit out of me. Is that still part of the way that you teach people, or is that are you aware of that part of yourself? If so, is that something that's still a part of the way you teach at Sig Academy?
I don't think so, no. And I'll give you I've had to adapt my teaching style since I taught those specific individuals. Because I mean, obviously the Marine Corps is a different place. And now I want to be approachable.
Yeah. And people are paying you now. It's just so funny because like I met you and you're really like nice, friendly dude. And then Trevor's like, oh yeah, that guy terrifies me. I'm like, what? That guy? Oh, it's so funny.
Maybe it's my demeanor in the office. I'm not a morning person.
No, you're not.
I've been called out for that at my new place of work. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How's Scott gonna adapt?
I think it's gonna take some getting used to. I think when you're in the Marine Corps for longer than
4 years.
Yeah, even 4 years, right? Yeah.
I mean, shoot, there were times like people used to always tell me, like, I'm scared to go near you right now. And it's like, I'm one of the nicest guys in the world, and I think it's just the natural resting bitch face that we have.
Yeah, we all have it.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I wasn't in a bad mood then. I was just focused on work. Resting bitch face, dude. Like, come talk to me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I think part of it too is like when we're shooting, we're just so focused too.
Yeah.
Like, especially if I'm about to shoot a stage, like you're not going to get anything from you're probably going to think I'm really pissed off. I'm just focused.
I remember this was like 2020. It was Delmarva, I believe, out at Shadowhawk. And I know Captain Scott, Chris Scott, and Scott Rader went out to shoot the day before. I went out the next day and, had the shooting jersey on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, some of your friends shot this match yesterday." I was like, "Oh, who?" Chris Scott and Scott Rader. They're like, "Oh yeah." They were not nice people. Like they didn't talk, they didn't interact, they didn't do anything. It was like, that's just because they were focused on their stage plan and all that kind of stuff. They're really nice guys, realistically.
Yeah, they are. But that also tells you that some people go to matches for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's completely social for some people.
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I just like people are there for different reasons. Like
Yeah.
some people are
Some people want to win, so they're going to focus all their energy on winning, and some people just want to go have a good time.
And I'll tell you, I'm somewhere in between too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think once you're not having fun, I think one of the best, some of the best training advice I've ever gotten was from John Browning on AMU when we went to go down and train there in 2018, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Was that 2018?
Yeah. August.
Yeah, and one of the first things he said is like, "Why are you doing this? If you're not having fun, then what's the point?"
Mhm.
Right? So
it's a good point.
Yeah.
it's somewhere in between. Like, yes,
And
but
there are plenty of times I've gone to matches that I did not have fun at, and I would say a lot of it was performance based. You're just down on yourself because you have a shitty performance, and like at that point, you just kind of go stand away from everybody else because you don't want to bring that mood on anybody else. But then there are times where it's like that was an awesome match, and like you're just having a great time, and the people are just great to be around, and you don't take anything too seriously. You screw up a stage, oh fuck, whatever.
I think that's part of like realistic goal setting too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is your goal coming into a match?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I think my first one now, because I've done this so many times and gotten genuinely pissed off, just like you said, Matt. That my first and foremost, my goal is to have fun, and then I have some performance goals set after that. But the realistic goal setting, like I know I'm not going to win nationals, not at my level currently, right?
Yeah.
Especially not with Max Michel around,
Yeah.
or any of the good shooters, Nils or JJ or whoever, right? So, yeah.
It's like I have some realistic goals that I want to achieve this year in 3-gun. And I think I can attain some of them. But I've also set some realistic goals with the tactical games because I enjoy doing that stuff. And like now that I'm out of the military and nobody's breathing down my throat, go PT or height and weight and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like I'm setting goals for myself to stay active. And so it's like I want to do the best I can. And so now I'm analyzing like some of my past performances in the tactical games. Okay, what was my weakest things? What are like physically, what are some things I need to work on? Like shooting wise, I think the shooting there is, I don't want to say rudimentary, but it's a bit more fundamentally based. So I'm fine there. So it's like, okay, physically, where can I improve? And so I take everything that I see where I fell short on, mainly the cardiovascular bullshit that I hate. And it's like now I'm setting realistic goals and standards and milestones that I want to achieve before I go to one of those matches so I can get the accomplishment that I want, or to get the goal that I want to achieve. And I think that's how you kind of have to break it down.
Yeah, last thought. I think part of it is knowing what you're capable of, and after you shoot, knowing whether or not you reached your potential or if you left something on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I'm like you guys. Like I want to go there. I want to have fun, but knowing that you didn't shoot up to your potential, whether it was just mental or like some kind of silly mistake, that's what kind of burns me up. So it's the continual pursuit of learning how to get yourself to that ceiling.
Well, it's kind of like, this past year at the Tactical Games team event with Andy Brown, you know, during the long range, it went from shooting the long range stuff, which really wasn't long. It was like 200 yards tops, into like running 3 miles, 3.25 mile, 3 3/4 of a mile. We came off the shooting portion. After we got done shooting, we are like, bro, we could have done better. And we get to the table and they're like, oh my God, you guys could shoot. You guys shot better than everybody. You took the least amount of penalties. And you're like, what? It's like,
It's all perspective.
yeah, it is. And it's like, okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better about the performance, but now I have to go run over 3 miles and I'm going to hate life the whole time.
Absolutely.
So I'll give you some of the best advice that I ever heard, Matt. And it was actually on another podcast, I think. But Charlie Perez, he said that and he's a GM. He's placed top 10 at nationals in the USPSA.
Yeah. Limited shooter. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. And he said he treats every stage like a separate match. And then I think some of the best advice that I ever got from my current boss at the academy was, how'd you do? Good, great, outstanding, or awesome? Because how many times have you walked up to another person at a match and you're like, hey man, how'd you do? Oh, I did terrible. It's like, there's your problem right there, man.
Yeah.
You think you're terrible. It's like,
yeah,
you're never gonna do good if you think that.
Yep.
And you take, your performance on a stage, and yes, maybe you're not happy with some of those things, but you put those aside and you could work on those later. You need to focus on other things.
Well, I was talking with a friend of mine, Chris Hutchison, a while ago, and he did horrible on a stage and just pissed off at himself. And like Joe Farewell went up to him and was like, hey bro, you got 5 minutes to go pout, sit there, be pissed off at yourself, but then you need to get back into it. Like what just happened has happened, put it behind you and focus on what's coming next. He's like, you're absolutely right. And that's what he did. And it's like, you can't worry about the past. You got to focus on what's coming up.
Oh yeah.
But hey, this was a great conversation. It's always good seeing you and always good talking to you. I think I learned something every time I have a conversation with you. But I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Sig Sauer, for letting him do this. But look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Same, Matt. And thanks, Frank. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course, bro.
To our listeners, we hope you really enjoyed this. If you have any questions for Sam or any of the individuals he works with, let us know. We will forward any questions and requests up. Again, please let us know how we're doing. And if you have any ideas or if you want to come on, let us know. And we just appreciate you.